You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Didn't you coach Burt Reynolds?
Yes, I did.
Was he any good?
He was a defensive back.
I know. Was he any good, I said?
103.9 FM LI News Radio presents The Weekend Crunch with Errol Marks and Josh Silverberg.
In the studios of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, this is The Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, and he's in the studio. Yes, this is not a Zoom call. We are not doing the COVID-19 thing today. He is in the studios of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Joshua Silverberg, and our producer on the board, as always, the pain in the butt himself, the man, the myth, and not the legend, Speedy, a.k.a. Tidy Whitey Man Petey. As you guys know, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Scene Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I am wearing my mask right now. I don't know why I have my mask on, but
It's a lot of things you do that are interesting.
well,
That's
you know,
besides the point.
it's a figure of your imagination, my friend. Mr. Josh, how are you? How's your week gone?
It's going well. It's great to be here in person. It's been a very long time. The week's going well so far.
Maybe it was the COVID. It was the COVID thing with you and your wife.
It was, but you know what?
Hiding in your
we got
house.
the vaccine, so we feel comfortable now and feel out and about. But just getting back to normalcy is just a nice feeling again. You know, I think everybody needs that in this world because there's forget the COVID stuff. There's just so much hate and stuff in this world right now that it's sad. It's actually putrid when you think about how this world is right now.
Well,
We're trying to fix
there's a lot of putrid people in this studio, and it wouldn't be me. It'd be you and Speedy.
Don't put me in that category.
The big C would be you, and what I mean by C is the big COVID, and that's what I think you guys are. You're a disease, and that's why I'm sitting next to you
If
guys.
you're a disease, I don't want to say it on the air what you are.
Well,
it's not appropriate.
I figure you were going to use a terrible word to express who I am as a person.
I don't have to be the only one.
Oh, well, you
There's
think
a lot of
Speedy's
people.
going to do that?
There's a lot
You
of
think
people
Speedy's going to do that?
There's a lot of people that might think that.
Oh, man. Here we go. It's the beginning of the show, and I'm dealing with Mr. Joshua Silverberg.
That's right.
And it's not over a camera. It's right in the studio.
We'll be back on a camera next week, probably.
Probably. All I got to look at is your big melon. That's about it.
My head is actually very small, so that's the thing.
I don't know. It looks pretty big to me.
Say, Josh, at least in the intro, you actually can rebuttal this time.
It does feel nice. I don't have to hear his garbage that he does because he uses the music. No, you can't talk over the music. It's going to...
Yeah, you can. Nah, but anyways, we have a great show lined up for you guys as well. We're going to get into basketball. The All-Star game is about around the corner. Kevin Durant will not be playing in the All-Star game with the hamstring problem. We're going to get into, obviously, football conversation. Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle. We will argue the points on where he could be. The Cowboys are a team. The Bears are a team. There are a few good teams that could be available to make a move for Russell Wilson. Desean Watson, the story's coming out over there that he has sat down with ownership and sat down with the executives, and he already said he wants out. So it doesn't seem like he's staying put over there in Texan land, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But first things first, some baseball conversation. And I will say this. There is so much to expect this year from New York baseball. When you look at the Yankees, and I'm a Yankee fan, and I know you two idiots are Met fans, but...
Speak for yourself.
Well, yeah, two idiots. But the Yankees...
You match two idiots. So
you'd hope they could stay healthy this year. They have not been in that situation really for the last 3 years. They've had so many injury problems with Giancarlo Stanton, with Aaron Judge, and then you see players like Gio Urshela come out of nowhere. You look at Luke Voigt become a superstar. He won the home run title last year. Aaron Hicks, when he actually stays on the field, he's one of the best all-around players on the Yankees. You have Clint Frazier that's turning into a young superstar player. You bring in Corey Kluber, a pitcher, to be your number 2 starter right behind one of the highest-paid pitchers in baseball, and obviously Garrett Cole. And then you bring in Talon and some of the different pitchers, relief pitchers that you brought in the offseason. There's a lot to really be excited for when it comes to the Yankees. As far as the Mets are concerned, how could you not be excited? You add Carrasco, Lindor, McCann, May. They have so many good players that they added to this team and this roster to really solidify themselves from really probably 13 or 14 ranked team in baseball last year to all the way to possibly the 5th or 4th best team in all of baseball. So Steve Cohen, Uncle Stevie, is taking over, and he's really stamping his name to that team. He really is. But we saw something over the last couple of days that really stuck out to us is the power ranking. MLB.com gave the top 5 power ranking in baseball going into the season. Spring training starts this weekend. And it's very interesting because you expect the top 3 teams to really stand out. And they do. You have the Dodgers as the number 1. The Padres, which I was very surprised, moved all the way up from probably 5 to 2. I think they're the 5th best team. I would say the Dodgers, the Yankees, but they have the Dodgers, the Padres, the Yankees, the Braves as number 4, and then obviously the New York Mets. And what's interesting about all these teams, and the Dodgers got a lot better. They were the World Series champions. They added Bauer. They solidified their pitching staff, which a lot of people were saying, even though their pitching staff has a lot of good young pitchers, they're cluttered with some veteran pitchers as well. You have obviously one of the best pitchers in baseball history. And we say this all the time because I think Clayton Kershaw is one of the most underrated pitchers of all time. I don't think people realize how dominant he has been year after year after year. Maybe the last 2 or 3 years he's fallen off because of injury, but he's a fantastic pitcher. And then you look at Walker Buehler, who got that 2-year extension this offseason, well-deserved. And then you add a Bauer, who's you're going to be a 3rd starter. He's the highest-paid pitcher in baseball right now. Definitely the most outspoken.
Understatement.
This Dodger team is going to be they're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
And then even the back end of the rotation. You got Dustin May and Julio Urias.
Yep. And they have one of the best bullpens in baseball. Yeah. So this team is absolutely cluttered with talent. So obviously you're going to take the Dodgers in front of all these teams because when you argue the points, are the Yankees better than the Dodgers? And the mishap of understanding where the Yankees are this year is their pitching staff. You don't know if Corey Kluber is going to stay healthy. If Corey Kluber stays healthy, you arguably have the 2nd best starter in baseball. Because if he stays healthy, I believe he'll come back to life. He's not a power pitcher. He's an off-speed pitcher. The guy has to stay healthy. The last 3 seasons, he couldn't stay healthy. But if he plays between 27 and 30 games, the guy has a 2.6-something ERA. His whip is usually either at 1 or under 1, and he strikes out a load. So this is a guy that's won Cy Young multiple times. He's a fantastic pitcher, Josh.
No, he is, and I think that's the key part you mentioned is with the injury, right? That seems to be the main word with this whole thing. You brought up talent as well from Pittsburgh, who they acquired. I'm also looking at with the Yankees, and what I'm trying to figure out is their bullpen, which was once this big powerhouse bullpen, 7, 8. You go Britton, you go Betances, you go Miller, you go Chapman, you go Ottavino, and it's constantly, guys, arms are coming in. It shortens the game for their stars. They could go 5 or 6 innings. That bullpen is not what it once was. So the Yankees had to get creative a little bit and try to figure it out. They still have Zach Britton there. You know how I feel about Chapman. He has a good regular season. He has that little bit of stretch where he struggles, and then the playoffs come around and he just craps the bed at that point, which for some just don't know why. It's just the case. They got to figure out with that bullpen. Because they have to shorten these games for their stars. Like you said, Corey Kluber is up there in age and the injuries as well. You want to shorten the games for these guys because that's what's going to get the Yankees to be successful. The Yankees have always been, what's been the mantra for years, is that bullpen, the stout bullpen. Going back to when they had Mike Stanton, Ramiro Mendoza, Mariano Rivera, Jeff Nelson. They had these guys that could come in, you could trust them, and it makes the game easier for those players. The lineup is going to be fine. Not concerned about that at all.
I'm not concerned about the bullpen either. No. Adding Wilson, adding the pitchers that they've landed in the offseason in free agency. When you look at Ottavino, you traded him away to the Boston Red Sox. You signed him to a 3-year, 4-year deal a couple of years ago. He didn't pan out. Maybe Aaron Boone completely beat his arm up the first year he was there, and he hasn't been the same pitcher. Did. He's not the same pitcher. So the Yankees moved on. The Boston Red Sox did him a favor, and they added 2 really good relief pitchers into that bullpen that was one of the best bullpens in baseball for many, many years. And last year was probably one of their weakest parts of their team. And now it's turned into probably one of their strongest parts, now adding Wilson and some of the relief pitchers that they brought in. And by the way, Domingo Germán is coming back this year where he's going to be put into that starting rotation. We saw what Domingo Germán did a couple of years ago.
We did, but the only thing is, and Luke Voigt said it, in his press conference, he is on very thin ice. What happened at the Yankee charity event, and then he went back home again and did what he did. And then the girlfriend had to call a Yankees player's wife, and the player had to come and see if she was okay. Voigt said it. He's on very thin ice, and the players have to be able to trust him again. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I think it's swept under the rug too much. You see, Jerry's Familia had the problem. Aroldis Chapman had the problem. Domingo Germán's had the problem. We all talk about really quick about the Jared Porter situation, what happened with that, and now fire him, and he got fired because he sexted a woman. Domingo Germán physically abused his wife, and shouldn't be playing.
2 years of not playing baseball. I mean, that's enough.
No, but do you understand what I'm saying?
He made a mistake. I'm not saying it was the right mistake. That was a terrible thing he did. But everybody deserves a second chance.
But you get what I'm saying,
yes,
though.
Absolutely.
It's when the Jared Porter thing happened, fire. But when Familia happened and Chapman happened, people were still clamoring.
Nobody should put their hands on a woman.
People were still clamoring for them to come back. And I just think it's just so ridiculous that Jared Porter's going to be out of baseball now, but these guys still get these opportunities to come back.
Talent.
And let's face it, what these guys did is not one is worse, but these guys did was a million times worse.
Let's talk about what Greg Hardy did. I mean, give me a break. You want to really get into what he did.
Hey, listen.
That was torturous what he did to his girlfriend.
Go look at Brian Giles. It was on camera.
It's terrible. And I'm not saying Domingo Germán should be respected for what he did. I'm not saying that. But everybody deserves a second chance. And Domingo Germán was one of the best young pitchers in baseball before he got into trouble a couple of years ago. He was doing great for the Yankees. He was the Yankees' best starter before everything happened. And then the Yankees lost him for the playoffs, and it affected them going into the playoffs. So hopefully Domingo Germán has put that behind him, and the Yankees have an opportunity. Some of these pitchers have to really show up. Like you said, Talon, who a lot of people liked the move from the Yankees from Pittsburgh. This guy was a top pick. Him and Garrett Cole are very good friends. They're best friends. They grew up together in the farm system of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now they're playing together on the same team. Maybe this helps Talon. Maybe it turns him back into the player that a lot of people thought that he was going to be from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And maybe the Yankees really hit gold with Talon. So the Yankees are in a good position. There's some question marks for the Yankees. As far as the Mets and the Braves are going to be a good team. Everybody knows they brought back Ozuna. Their pitching staff is good, especially their relief pitching. What we saw last year, some of the young pitchers that they have.
I'm surprised they haven't brought Shane Green back yet, though. That's surprising me because he was one of their better relievers last year. So I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a contract even.
Well, it's all about money, and money talks. And I think Shane Green wants a lot of money, and he'll get it. Somebody's going to give it to him. If it's not them, it'll be somebody else that's going to be looking for relief pitching sometime early in the season, maybe in spring training if somebody gets hurt. So I think that the Braves are going to be a very dangerous team. Freeman, if they stay healthy, they're as good and as talented of a lineup as any team in baseball. Nobody can argue that. Acuna is, to me, again, going to be an MVP candidate over and over again. I would be really upset if I was Acuna, Josh, because after Tatis got that $346 million contract for 14 years, after 2 years, and this guy signs a $100 million extension for, 4 or 5 years?
And he hasn't even stayed healthy a full season.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I wouldn't say he has to fire his agent, but
that'd be right there.
That sticks out like a sore thumb.
It's the Braves and the Mets in that division. You could go tit for tat between the two lineups. Arguably, you could make the case that the better lineups in baseball. It comes down to the bullpens, which the Braves had a pretty good bullpen last year, and the Mets have improved their bullpen and starting rotation. The Mets just signed Taijuan Walker. I mean, that just deepens the rotation. I mean, Taijuan Walker would be a number 3 on most teams. He's going to be the number 5 starter for the Mets, and they're going to move David Pearson to the bullpen probably, which is going to help their depth.
It's hard to believe when you told me that was the guy that your father loved, the acquisition.
Go look at hey, I thought he was crazy too when he said it, but then he sent me the numbers of Walker. He's consistently has pretty much a 3 or 8 every single year, and he's always producing, which is a weird thing because he doesn't throw very hard. He throws a lot of off speed, which is an interesting thing.
Corey Kluber, Yankee fans.
Yeah, it's crazy that Taijuan Walker, who
oh my God, Luke Voigt hit home runs at a batting practice. Corey Kluber's done. That's Yankee fans.
It's just crazy that go look at the number. Taijuan Walker was one of the reasons the Toronto Blue Jays got to the playoffs last year. Was they traded for him at the deadline, and he helped surge the Blue Jays to the playoffs. And the Mets got him, and it adds to more depth to a rotation that's going to get Syndergaard back. That had just got Carrasco. That has DeGrom. The rotation is going to be very good. The bullpen is still, there's question marks still, but I think
I think this is the strongest bullpen we've seen the Mets have. I think
when you have Trevor, and you know what it is though too is everybody's clamoring for more free agents to be signed for the Mets. Look, the Mets have to start having their own players produce. They signed Sam McWilliams, the kid who was in the minors his whole career. They gave him a major league deal. They clearly find something that's going to be good. Drew Smith was once a very top-notch, talented relief pitching prospect. He's a guy that I'm a big fan of. And I think when you look at Trevor May, and they got Loop from Tampa last year who had a very good year, and you have Diaz who had a very good year last year, sky's the limit for both the Mets and the Braves. And I agree with you. I think the Padres are a little high.
Overrated. I still
What
think
would
they're
your
overrated.
5 rankings be?
Dodgers 1, Yankees 2, Braves 3, Mets 4, St. Louis Cardinals 5.
5 over the
Yes. Cardinals are always good.
Yeah, they are.
And now they added Nolan Arenado.
Well, don't they call it, what's it called, the Cardinal Way?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is? It's the Cardinal Way.
And they have a very good farm system.
I would say what you said, too. I'm just not a big Yu Darvish fan, though. That's really what it is with me. I'm not a fan of him at all. I think he's so overrated, Darvish. To me, he doesn't pitch well in big games. You saw it in the World Series a couple years ago. He's just a guy. And I have to really see how Blake Snell handles after this World Series. They give it some of these guys, it affects their psyche. Is this World Series going to affect him? He still talks about it.
Seems like everybody that leaves Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Never the same.
That's it.
Guess who Tampa brought back, by the way?
Oh, Michael Wacha?
No, Archer. They brought Archer
They did
back.
and I tell you, I love that move.
Watch him become a star again.
Remember, though, he had thoracic outlet. Remember, Matt Harvey had that, and so did Jaime Garcia had it. Those guys have not been able to come back from it, so it's a tough surgery to come back from. But I would say what you said, Padres and Cardinals kind of flip. I'll give the Braves over the Mets because they got to the NLCS last year. Dodgers, Yankees, I'll give 1 and 2.
Watch out for the Cardinals. I mean, you put Nolan Arenado with Paul Goldschmidt in that lineup, in the middle of that lineup, the best third baseman and the best first baseman in baseball.
It's their pitching. After Jack Flaherty,
they have such a good farm system. They
really,
could bring in.
They do, but the thing is, though, is even the last couple of years,
they always find somebody that's going to pitch well for them.
The thing is, though, other than Jack Flaherty, who am I going with in that
We'll
rotation?
see. They're
and
a very
bullpen,
good
too.
organization.
They cannot find bullpen. They can't find a closer. They can't find bullpen arms at all. They've been trying for years. They're trying to turn Carlos Martinez into one. He should be more of a starter, by the way. He's too talented to be a bullpen pitcher.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some basketball conversation. The New York Knicks playing at the top of their game. They're, 2 games out of 4th place?
It's insane.
In the Eastern Conference. You talk about Tom Thibodeau.
Did you bet on that this year?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
Nobody did.
Ask Beatty.
Did you actually put real money on it?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I bet. Yes, I do. In the beginning of the season.
You actually bet money on the Knicks
Yes.
finishing top 5.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
No. But did you actually put actual of your money?
No, I said the Knicks.
That's what I asked.
I said the Knicks were going to make the playoffs.
What did I say? The over-under I said was 21 wins?
They're going to win more than 21.
Whoa, they might be a top 4 seed at this point. It's insane.
crazy.
If they go top 4, Tom Thibodeau should be coach of the year.
Well, it's a possibility.
Not Steve Nash.
Well, Steve Nash doesn't belong there. I mean, I could coach the Brooklyn Nets if I
don't even
want
think
to.
Steve Nash could still coach the Brooklyn Nets.
I think a dead bunny rabbit can coach the Brooklyn Nets or somebody. Somebody stupid could probably coach the Brooklyn Nets. But nevertheless,
So
it's
they
going
should
to be...
hire Derek Fisher is what you're saying.
I don't know about that either. When we come back, we'll get into some basketball conversation here on the Weekend Crunch. As you guys know, yes, Speedy, you do know, this is a Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua, a.k.a. Little J, Silverberg.
Little J. Now I can respond. I'm not Little J.
Little J.
Enough of this garbage.
And on the board, as always, the great and powerful world of nothing, Speedy Beatty.
You're a terrible person.
As you guys know, the Weekend Crunch is live every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the World Wide Sports Radio Network. And by the way, our show, if the Islander games are live on Saturday at 7 p.m., our show is played right after the Islander game at about 10:15, 10:30 after a couple of press conference. So if you're an Islander fan, after the game, you can tune in to us and listen to the craziness of this show. That's for sure.
It's an understatement.
Well, it is an understatement, but, I have underwear on. So
Also, by the way, Speedy, I love you, so don't worry. Okay?
What do you mean? So you're telling me that I don't love him?
Well, when you give him the introductions that you do of him.
Well, my introductions to you, I mean, I call you Little J.
Which, by the way, I cannot defend it because there's no, I'm entering.
Well, you can't defend it because you are Little J. You are, yes. There's a lot of little things about you, that's for sure. So we'll just call you Little JJ. How's that sound? Does
I
Little
don't want
JJ
to argue
sound?
this anymore.
No, it's a good name for you. It really does. It fits you. But I will say this. Me and Josh were actually taking care of some interesting things today to set up for his wonderful wife's beautiful birthday party, and I actually helped him out.
She has no idea.
No, she doesn't.
It's an awesome thing.
Yep. So it's going to be very interesting tomorrow to impress her with the great and powerful Errol popping out of the bushes.
That's something nobody wants. You are bringing entertainment, though.
I am. Yes. Entertaining. I mean, look at me. I'm as entertaining as Bunny Rabbit coming out of a hat.
I love bunny rabbits.
So you don't love me?
I do love you, but I love rabbits, though.
So you're going to take a rabbit over me? You see this, Speedy? He's going to take a rabbit over me. Thank you.
That ice pick, man, doing that ice pick with the wheelbarrow. I know for a fact you thought I was going to drop that snow 3 or 4 times when I was wheeling with the wheelbarrow.
I wasn't carrying that with my neck. Anyways, the All-Star game is right around the corner. It's about a week away.
Is that what it is?
You get to see Charles Barkley and
slam dunk contest, though. Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin has decided to enter.
You were ecstatic.
Very happy.
You made me rewind SNY to say, wait, what is that on the ticker? I want to see that.
I want to see this kid, man. I haven't had a chance to see him this year because he doesn't play enough. And this is what this kid is all about.
He'll tear his ACL when he does.
Hopefully not. This kid, he is going to be so exciting to watch because everybody knows who his father is. This guy was an all-time end one type of dunk man. And Obi Toppin, he is one of those guys that he's fun to watch. He's athletic. I am sure he has some things up his sleeve that's going to really impress a lot of fans out there, things that you've never seen before. I think he's going to be a fantastic dunker, and I'm telling you right now, he's my pick. I'm going to put all my money on Obi Toppin.
Well, what's the field?
Well, I don't know what the field is. I don't have to know. I'm taking him.
Well, now, I want to ask you quick about the dunk contest. If they screw up after one time, you know how they let them redo it over and over and over and over again a billion times?
Yes.
Should they let them do that?
No.
Enough already.
You get 3 times.
Clearly, if you didn't do it the first 2 times, you're going to try it a third time. It's clearly not going to work.
Well, sometimes it does because we've seen
third time's the charm.
Well, we've seen people on the third time do it.
But it's not the same anymore. It loses its spice.
It
does. You don't do it after the first.
Well, it depends on what kind of dunk it is.
No, but I'm saying.
I mean, if you're going to do a backflip and you're going to dunk, I mean, I've never seen that before. I can't wait to see somebody do like a front flip and dunk. I've never seen that before.
Obviously, Vince Carter had his moments. Of course, he was the best dunker.
Yeah,
and then
Kobe Bryant did.
Jordan.
Kobe Bryant too.
Kobe Bryant did. Yeah. Dwight Howard had a fun one.
Tracy McGrady.
Serge Ibaka had a fun one.
Dominique Wilkins.
Blake Griffin over the car.
Yep. And obviously, we know about Dwight Howard, Superman. So, and Nate Robinson. He won it 3 times.
Oh, he only won it because of his
The knockout king.
Literally.
Poor Nate.
I
feel bad for him.
But I still think Snoop Dogg's singing his prayers.
Oh, man. That's terrible what happened to him, man. I haven't heard anything from him since he'd been knocked out.
Once that happened, you knew you weren't going to hear from him.
Oh, man.
He was going to hide for a while. You knew what'd you expect? He was going up against a professional fighter.
No, he wasn't. Paul is not a professional fighter.
He still has more experience than Nate does.
Yeah, but Paul is not a professional fighter. As a matter of fact, he's a waste
Didn't he
of
challenge
space.
McGregor?
He's supposed to fight Floyd Mayweather, and that was canceled, I think. But to me, it's worthless. And his brother's fighting, too. I don't know. But they're trying to put money in their pockets. But you going into the All-Star weekend, you look at some of these teams, and what really stands out so far this season? And Utah Jazz, it really sticks out. Donovan Mitchell has been fantastic. Rudy Gobert. Both players make the team. They're not starters. They're bench players, but these 2 guys are sensational players. I don't know how Donovan Mitchell is not starting.
Jordan Clarkson's probably as a landslide, I think, to win 6th Man of the Year right now.
It's crazy. The Utah Jazz, with the depth that they have the coach of the year right now. They're very well defensively coached.
But it's also their home court, too. Good luck beating them in the playoffs.
I still think they're beatable. If the Lakers get healthy, the Lakers are going to be hard to beat.
Yeah,
I mean, the depth that they have.
But look at the depth the Jazz have.
The Lakers are a championship competitive team.
And the Jazz are, too.
No, they're not.
They're
They've never gone to a championship.
So you're saying like they're like the Denver Nuggets of last year?
I think they're better than the Denver Nuggets.
Well, the Nuggets shouldn't even have been there. The Clippers just collapsed.
Well, the Nuggets are a pretty good team. They've got a lot of depth.
No, they're a good team, but the Clippers, let's face it, the Clippers are 3-1.
Jokic is right now, if you were to pick who the MVP right now in the league is, Some people would take Jokic. Jokic has been the best all-around player. I mean, he's averaging almost a triple-double. This is a big man. He's averaging 29 points, and he's shooting threes by the clip.
Michael Porter's getting better, too.
Oh, Michael Porter's a good player.
Now
He
that
just
he's
got to
getting
stay
healthy,
healthy.
you know what it was? That's what it
His back.
It was his back in college. He's having back surgery in college. People were concerned about it.
He's never going to be 100% healthy, and that's why you have to be careful how many minutes you play. The Western Conference has so much depth, but the things that really stick out so far during this season, the Knicks have really stuck out there, the number one defense in all of the NBA. It's crazy, but in almost every statistic, the Knicks are number one in those areas, and that's why the Knicks are 2 games out of 4th place. Crazier that it sounds, that the Knicks were the 2nd or 3rd worst team in the Eastern Conference last year, and now all of a sudden, they're all the way at possibly, I think they're 5 or 6.
I think it's a game and a half for a game now because Indiana lost to Boston
It's
last night.
I don't even know because the Eastern Conference is so close. The Knicks could be in 6th place one day and 5th place the next.
I don't think anybody before the season had the New York Knicks possibly finishing
No.
as the 4th seed and possibly having home court.
Yeah, the Knicks are right now tied with the Heat and the Celtics 5 through 7 right now. They're technically in the 7th
So
spot at the moment.
how far back are they of Indiana?
They're actually above Indiana because Indiana 484 winning percentage versus
They're
485.
1 game out of 4th place.
So who's the 4th place team?
Toronto is 4th right now.
Oh.
Half a game up on the
And they're
Heat.
going to trade Lowry.
And they're going to trade Lowry probably to Philadelphia.
Half a game up right now on the Heat,
They had
Celtics,
their
and
run.
Knicks.
That's crazy.
It's really
Miami
crazy.
still scares you. They got to get right.
They're playing good right
got-
now. Miami's been hot.
I think they had to get their footing because it was such a short offseason.
Well,
for
Butler.
them. And now that Butler's playing like Jimmy Butler is, and of course you have all their players that
It was a
Bam
short
Adebayo.
season.
Yeah, but they have too much talent. Bam Adebayo.
I am not a big fan of Bam. I never was.
And then
They overpaid him. $190
$190
million or something like
Who's
that.
the kid that stood out from them from Kentucky? It was
Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero's been phenomenal. And then, listen, Eric Spoelstra's still a really good coach.
Oh,
in this
he's
league. a great
probably
coach.
the best coach in the Eastern Conference. Him or Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens is a great coach. And beware of the Celtics. You say
So
whatever
not
you want.
Steve Nash.
No. No. He's the worst coach in the NBA.
Has to be.
He's terrible. He's
a
as
better
bad
coach.
as Steve Kerr.
Is he worse than Tyronn Lue?
Oh, he's terrible. Tyrone Lue, I've never liked Tyrone
Is he worse
Lue.
than Derek Fisher?
Yes.
Wow!
No way. That's pretty low.
Yes.
That's pretty low. That's pretty
I mean,
low.
could you imagine? Just think about it. If Derek Fisher was coaching this Nets team, you don't think they'd be as good as they are?
He's busy trying to figure out Matt Barnes' girlfriend.
Probably. Maybe your wife.
No, well, you know what?
He goes after people's wives, their
seems-
girlfriends. Something happened with Tim Hardaway. Did you hear about that? Tim Hardaway Jr.? And he was hanging out with Tim Hardaway Jr.'s girlfriend or something like that?
He's still dating Matt Barnes' girlfriend.
I
though.
think so.
Yeah.
He was back and forth with
He's gotta-
that Barnes' girlfriend.
He's got to take it easy.
Well,
He's got to slow his roll there.
I mean, he doesn't hold back, that's for sure.
he's coaching in the. I think he's coaching in the WNBA now.
Oh, ooh. He's jumping over hurdles.
By the way, really quick, I know we're not going to talk about this.
Okay.
You know Dowell Logan's actually got hired
Really?
by Penn State. He's an
Good
offensive
for him.
analyst.
Good for him.
He got a job before Adam Gase did.
Cuckoo Eyes is not going to have a job for a very long time.
He had his opportunity. That was the easiest job on the planet, being offensive coordinator of Alabama. And that's not great.
Adam Gase will sign with some FCS football team.
It's interesting.
It was basically Bill O'Brien or Adam Gase. Who do I pick?
Well, Bill O'Brien, of course, but and that's not saying much either.
That's what I'm saying.
Another guy that destroyed an organization.
Should
But
have stayed at Penn State.
it's so fun to watch the Western Conference because you're watching the Suns, the Utah Jazz, the Denver
How
Nuggets.
good is Phoenix? Is such an under the radar team, man.
Well, everybody knew that Chris Paul going over there was going to solidify what the team was.
Chris Paul.
I didn't.
I did. And
I
now
didn't.
you see why.
Well, you see why the Knicks
at
are
this.
almost in 4th place.
I know that, but look,
Do you need Chris Paul right now?
Imagine him with Julius Randle.
Could you imagine if he was there? Emmanuel Quigley probably wouldn't have been drafted.
No, he still would have been.
I don't think so. You don't need another guard if you bring in another guard. Of
He
that
would have.
magnitude.
He would have developed under him. That's the point.
Emmanuel Quigley is a shooting guard. Okay.
So then he should be playing the 2 then.
no, I don't think they would have drafted him.
Somebody needs to take Reggie Bullock out of the starting lineup already. Please.
Why? He's a good shooter.
Oh my God!
He's a
You're
good
not really
three-point shooter.
Yeah, good off the bench. That's
that's
for the
fine.
He's not a good starter.
Listen, it doesn't matter who starts; it's who finishes. Everybody says that.
Let me
And
ask you this.
listen to Tom Thibodeau when he talks after the game.
Should Steve Novak have been a starter then? He was a good 3-point shooter.
No,
So that's where Reggie Bullock.
but he also finished.
Does Reggie Bullock finish?
No, he doesn't. He's never
So
on the
he
court.
should absolutely never be a starter.
Well, stop. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Speedy, is that a bad comparison?
You're not going to start a rookie. You're not.
Reggie
Emmanuel
Bullock
Quickley
wishes
is
he
not
was
going to
that
start.
epic.
Yeah, he does.
You're not going to start Emmanuel Quickley. He was the 25th pick in the draft. Next year he'll start. I
should.
guarantee you he will.
Well, Derrick Rose is doing a good job having him under his wing.
Oh, absolutely. He said nothing but great things about him and Obi Toppin. I love Derrick Rose. I love Derrick
together
Rose.
in Miami.
I think that was a great move by the New York Knicks. He's a leader, and he'll be here for another year. He's still under contract, so the Knicks are going to have him for at least another year. And under Tom Thibodeau's offense and what he's trying to do with some of these young players, they're only going to get better under Derrick Rose. You're looking at the Western Conference. It can go either way. I really still believe the Lakers are the best team in the Western Conference. When healthy, with AD and with the depth that they have, they're going to be very hard to beat. If AD is anywhere close to healthy going into the playoffs, they're coming out of the West.
Gobert Davis. I want to because Gobert can play defense.
He hasn't stopped Davis ever, and he won't stop him now. Anthony Davis is, to me, a top 3 player in the league when 100% healthy. Yeah. Who's going to argue that?
No, you can't.
And you have 2 of the top 3 players on one team. You have LeBron James, who I still think is the number 1 player in the league, who makes everybody around it better. And I would say you can argue it's Kawhi Leonard at 2, Kevin Durant 2, and then Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis
before then?
No, because some people would take those 2 guys at 2.
Okay.
But I think, my opinion, Anthony Davis is the third best player in the league. The best all-around player in my eyes besides LeBron James.
Shout out to Julius Randle for making his first All-Star team, by the way.
Absolutely. And he deserves it.
And a nice message from his mom that they did on the board that night. Too bad they lost to Golden State that night. But,
well, she said she wasn't going to use the paddle.
Oh, God.
Sorry, Julius.
And on that note.
But it's been a really, really fun half season right now for the New York Knicks, even the Brooklyn Nets.
Well,
I know
both their teams are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, it looks like it. We'll see what happens in the second half of the season, but it's been really, really fun. It's been very intriguing to watch some of the development of some of these young players from the Knicks, and then you get the opportunity to look on the other side of the river and watch Kyrie the Flat Irvin play basketball, and I say flat because he thinks the earth is flat. And then you have Kevin Durant, who right now is not 100%, but he has been sensational. Absolutely unbelievable. I've never seen a guy come back from an Achilles injury of this magnitude and play as well as he has. And then James Harden, who I think is the heart and soul of that Nets team right now. As crazy that it may sound.
And we thought he'd be the third wheel.
Yeah. Well, he is the third wheel. He's the third wheel.
He admits he's the third wheel, but he's not the third wheel.
Yeah,
Kyrie Irving's the third wheel.
As far as he's concerned, he's the third wheel.
He may want to say he is, but he's saying it to be nice. Kyrie Irving's the third wheel.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens in the second half. Who cares what happens in the All-Star game? Obi Toppin kicks some ass at that slam dunk contest. That's all I want to see. And I want to see Emmanuel Quickley playing the rookie challenge because I think him and Obi Toppin will be fun to watch. I want to see both those guys play against some of the young players in the league. Anyways, when we come back, some football conversation. Free agency for the New York Jets and the New York Giants, but not only free agency, Russell Wilson wants out. And I have my opinions on where he can go when we come back here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Silverberg, and on the board, Speedy Petey. As always, remember you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Scene Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Guys, download the Worldwide Sports Radio app by going to WWSRN on iOS, which is Apple, and go to Android. If you don't have the innocent, crazy, disturbing phone of iOS like Speedy does, you can go to the great and powerful phone of mine, Samsung and Android, and go to the Android store and put in Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Check out our beautiful website, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. Hit it.
WorldwideSportsRadio.com.
Speedy, you hear how low he is? It's just like a low tone, like, what are you, like an old man or something? You're trying to speak?
Didn't your friend Eric say I sounded like an old man, too?
You do. You sound
I don't even have.
You sound like a little bit of an old man, but that's okay. We love you. You're definitely something that stands out for this show, and you're interesting. That's for sure.
thanks. I feel so honored.
Anyways, I want to get into some football conversation. And to me, this has been a crazy offseason. The offseason hasn't even started
I was
yet.
going to say it hasn't even started yet.
It hasn't even started.
March 17th is technically the new season. I only remember that because I remember when the Jets signed Le'Veon Bell, the draft was literally after they got Adam Gase. That was when Adam Schefter went on ESPN and literally said, hold on a second. He stopped and Scott Van Pelt was like, oh, we get breaking news on our air. Look at this.
Speaking of Adam Schefter, I mean,
the man can't make up his mind.
No, he goes from one place to another with Desean Watson. What's going on with this man?
It comes down to literally the point of it is this. Nobody knows anything. The New York Jets are keeping it very tight.
Thank God, finally.
I will say, if you see Woody Johnson's Twitter feed, he's posting nonstop about the Jets way more than normal. And weeks ago, he said the Jets had no shot. Now he comes on, I think it was like the Michael Kay show, and said, the Jets are right there to get him if the Texans wanted the package. And I'm like, Rich Cimini, I said it last week. He changed his decision 3 different times. Remember I called you? He said, the Jets aren't going to do this. The Jets are going to do this. Now the Jets are going to... Like, nobody knows anything except for
Joe Douglas
and Robert Saleh.
Yeah,
They're the only two that know.
I think Joe Douglas is the only person that knows what he is doing.
I think he's got to keep Saleh in the loop, of course.
Well, nothing's happening, so why does he have to keep him in a loop when he's ready to decide what he wants to do?
Because he's still the head coach, and he still has to be able to make sure that
But he doesn't know what he's doing yet. He doesn't know what he's doing yet, so how would he tell and go down and tell
because
Robert Saleh?
I'm sure he's engaging with Saleh, and he's probably telling Rob, he's probably saying, okay, we're making these decisions. Where do you see best fit? Do we go with Sam? Do we go with Zach Wilson? You're hearing the reports that they might trade down to 4 with Atlanta and get more picks and maybe work around Sam. Personally, I think you could just draft Justin Fields then, and then they have a rookie quarterback.
Just think, if you trade down 2 spots to go to Atlanta.
You could get Fields, and you could still trade Darnold,
you
and
could
you
get
have
a
rookie
first.
quarterback.
You could get a first and possibly a third.
By the way, Mel Kiper, the Jets are not drafting Kyle Pitts for the Rob. Come on. Listen, Kyle Pitts.
Not at 4.
He's a great talent. If the New York Jets draft a tight end at 4th overall, with all their needs is a serious problem.
No, I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they're doing that.
They can't.
No.
I
don't think they're drafting a quarterback if they're trading down. I'll tell you that right now.
No, I don't think they would either. I think they would probably take Sewell, the kid from Northwestern.
Yeah.
I actually think
he might go to the Bengals.
The kid from Northwestern he's starting to jump over Sewell in the rankings now. People are like it because he played in the Big Ten and they more Big Ten heavy offensive linemen.
Even if they go at 4, if they draft at 4,
Patrick Surtain. No,
the Jets could really solidify themselves. They could trade down at 4 and then trade down again and just keep overstocking. Well, you still can get the player that you want.
He did it last year. Remember they traded
Not
down
in the first round.
No, in the second round. No, and they traded down. They got Denzel Mims still. They traded down. He traded on twice.
But if you trade twice in the first round, you can solidify and get 2 first-round draft picks.
Then, of course. At that point, you're now starting to believe that Darnold's going to be the guy. Then at that point, it's done.
I still think that the Jets believe that Sam Darnold is the guy. If they can build around him, I do. I mean, everything that I've read, I do not believe that Joe Douglas believes this kid cannot win in New York. I do believe that he fits New York.
It's not his guy, though.
It doesn't matter.
It's not Saleh's guy either. If it's not your person that you draft, or it's not...
That doesn't matter. You're building. That's what you're doing.
I know you're building, but Errol, at the same time, what you're doing is this...
Ryan Tannehill.
You're putting your stamp on your team. If he's not your guy, nobody wants that because they want to be able to say, I'm the smartest guy in the room, so I'm going to pick who I want, and that would be Zach Wilson, or they trade for Deshaun Watson. That's fine. Tannehill got completely exposed in the playoffs.
Yeah, he got exposed because all he had was a running back. Well, Brown's good, too. A.J. Brown had a great season, too. They had no defense. Their defense was horrible.
But here's the difference, though. That was somebody that Tennessee signed, so therefore they're trying to fix that. Darnold is not a guy that both the head coach and the GM, and by the way, the owner that's back wasn't even here when they drafted him. So that's 3 people in that room that did not draft him. So
you just want to give up on him.
It's not about giving up on him. I'm being realistic.
Speedy, am I right or wrong?
Speedy, how many times do organizations in the NFL want to put their stamp on something and think they're the smartest people in the room and they want their person that they pick to be the guy?
Not from a 23-year-old kid who hasn't really had a chance
Would you let Speedy answer his question?
Too often.
That's what I'm telling you. If Saleh, Douglas, and Woody Johnson
Speedy, if you were the GM of the team, would you give Sam Darnold an opportunity to build around him?
If the offer for the number 2 pick is phenomenal, I'll keep him.
I will say this. How about this, though? He has another mediocre year. With the draft next year not being nowhere near as good as
Who
the draft
cares?
is this year, then their Jets are screwed then.
How are they screwed?
Because they're not going to have a quarterback period. Then you got to give them a $25 million option. Are you
If we're
kidding
talking
me?
about trading down and adding and solidifying more first-round
Look,
draft
I hope
picks,
you're right.
You
I
can
want
trade out of
Darnold.
that.
I said that Darnold could be talented. I'm being realistic with you when I'm saying that it's not the coach and the GM that picked him. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, that's fine. And I've seen this before, and I really believe that this kid deserves a full year's chance with a new coach.
And that's
Actually,
fine.
a good coach and a good offensive coordinator and a good offense that fits him, where maybe if they draft and they bring in some free agents that fit Sam Darnold's strengths, maybe Sam Darnold can achieve all his goals here in New York.
I hope you're right, and I'm telling you this now. It would be a blessing if this happens. Because here's the thing. This saves the Jets a huge headache. In the NFL, people think they're smarter than everybody else. If they win a Super Bowl, I can't even imagine saying that. If the Jets win a Super Bowl, it's weird to say. With Sam Darnold, then people are going to look back at Mike McCagnon. They're going to say, Mike McCagnon drafted that quarterback.
Who cares?
Oh,
what does that? And Mike
guys
McCagnon.
have
Okay,
so much ego
so
in
Mike,
this
so
sport.
Mike McCagnon drafted that quarterback. Oh, and by the way, he didn't achieve anything when Mike McCagnon was there. And Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas actually put a team around him and won a
$25 million
championship.
option, though.
Who cares?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
You better
money.
hope he's good.
$25 million is not more than $40 million that a lot of quarterbacks are making.
Deshaun Watson's a proven commodity.
Yeah, it's a proven commodity, no question that he is, and you're going to have to give away all your prospects.
Or you,
so
could
I'm not doing that.
or you could draft Zach Wilson and just build around a rookie quarterback.
And you heard what Quentin Williams says. He doesn't want to be traded. He wants to be a Jet for life.
Thank God.
And thank God for what? If you're going to trade for Deshaun Watson, you're going to have to trade a top-end defensive player, and they're going to want him.
Well,
So
again, I say Joe Douglas and Deshaun Watson would need to talk to Houston.
anyways, I did want to get into this Russell Wilson thing.
Yes.
There's stories coming out that Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle. And now you're looking at the 4 teams that he's mentioned. He mentioned the Bears, the Titans,
There's 3: Bears, Saints, Cowboys.
And the Raiders were in there.
And the Raiders.
and the Jets. The Jets were brought up to
it was disputed that Schefter came out and said the Jets aren't involved. It was the 3 main teams he said were the Saints, the Bears, and the Cowboys.
The Saints don't have anything to trade for Russell
the
Wilson.
best team I think he would be. I know you argue
The Bears.
The Bears.
But that's
the
not the
Bears have
best
a
team.
defense.
They don't have an offensive line. He's going to the same Seattle Seahawks team.
Well, he
That
wants to
doesn't
go to
make
the
sense.
Bears.
Their offensive line's just as bad or maybe even worse. Why would he go there? That doesn't make any sense.
And then it bodes the interesting point is if you're
it bodes well that he's going to get killed
If you're the Cowboys,
in Chicago.
what do you do?
The Cowboys make sense. Okay,
If you
really
add
does.
Ezekiel Elliott in the deal.
Good,
And they
then,
would, and they should.
And then the Beeve will probably say that he's better than Marshawn Lynch. I mean, I've heard it all. So
I will tell you this: if he goes to the Cowboys are instantly a Super Bowl contender.
they'll be there.
No matter what team Russell Wilson goes to, they become a Super Bowl contender because he's that good. He changes the dynamic of the team. Period.
You're going to have to give a lot. The Cowboys
32
are
years old, though.
You're talking about a Zeke, Dak, and possibly 2 first-round draft picks for him,
Tell you what,
like Russell Wilson.
instantly becomes a Super Bowl contender.
That's
though.
fine. Instantly becomes a Super Bowl contender with who? Who? Mike McCarthy. Oh, my God. Run for your life.
Well-
Because look at the quarterbacks he's had over the years and how many championships
Can
he's
you
won.
really? Can you really screw up Russell Wilson at this point?
It's not about screwing him up. It's about screwing the team up with a great quarterback.
Who
We've
did
seen
they
him do
just hire
that.
as the defensive coordinator?
Dan Quinn.
That's a nice
who they're
hire.
saying, yes. I like Dan Quinn. I really do. 4-3 defense.
Well, they needed anything was better than Mike Nolan's last year. They quit after week 3.
Dan Quinn is a good defensive coordinator. Came from Hofstra. He's come from New York, New Jersey. He's from the New Jersey area. So I like Dan Quinn.
Just don't give him a big lead in the Super Bowl.
No, don't give him a head coaching job. Don't give him a head coaching job. But he's a good defensive. It's just like Todd Bowles. But I think Todd Bowles, when he gets his second chance, he's going to succeed.
Yes, he's going to coach Tampa after Aaron retires.
I don't think so.
After Aaron retires, he will be the next coach.
I don't. I think he'll get a job next year.
Yeah, I think Aaron's will retire after next year.
I don't. I think Arians is going to stay.
Oh no, I think Aaron's going to do one more year.
We'll
one more
see.
year, and then I think at that point Bowles will take over. This is lined up for him.
I don't think so. I think Todd Bowles will go somewhere else.
He'd be an idiot if he did.
You know who I think he's going to go to? Minnesota. After next year, Minnesota's going to be looking
I think
for a
it's
new coach.
time, and I like Mike Zimmer too.
Yeah.
I think it's time though. He's been there for a long time.
Minnesota likes to bring in defensive guys, and I think Todd Bowles would fit like a glove over there. I really do. And I think their defense would fit his culture and what he does. He does the 3-4. He is a 3-4 defensive guy. Who do they fit, and what do they fit? The 3-4 defense. I think Todd Bowles would be fit. He would fit perfectly over there.
So he would fit, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Fit like a glove. You're an idiot.
You said fit 10 times. That means it fits.
I don't say you know, but
well, you know it fits.
Well, better fit. Fit like Cinderella's ruby glass slipper. How's that sound?
That's, I guess. Let's put things a little more pizzazz.
You look like Sebastian from The Little Mermaid.
You mean the crab?
Yeah, you look like him. You like crabs, right?
More of a lobster guy.
Yeah, well, you like your lobster bisque, huh?
Love the lobster bisque.
You love everything, don't you?
It's certain people in this room.
When we come back, we will get into more football. I have my own thoughts with the Giants. And the one thing that I want to get into more than anything is, do the Giants re-sign Leonard Williams, or do they let him go to free agency? That is a big question for where they're going to move forward with this defense. So when we come back, some New York Giants conversation here on the Weekend Crunch. Joshua Silverberg's REO Speedwagon. Ho! Well, he's not a singer.
No,
as you guys
not.
know, this is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua KKKK Little J Silverberg. And on the board, as everybody knows, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to the show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports E-Magazine and the World Wide Sports Radio Network. Yes, did you like that?
I did.
Enthusiastic. I gave a little enthusiasm.
You
know,
little,
do you want me to yodel? Do you want to hear that? I don't think you do.
No,
Maybe after the show.
No, I don't even want to hear it then.
How about I smack you around a couple of times?
No, I don't even want you to touch me.
Well, I don't want to touch you either.
I'm not giving you 6 feet.
I'll let your wife do that.
You're like 6 feet near you at this point.
Well. I did want to get into the New York Giants. The Giants have been very, very quiet this offseason. And you talk about Judge, and I think Joe Judge has really proved that he can coach in this league, even though they only had 6 wins this year.
Jason Garrett's back.
Jason Garrett came back.
Look at Speedy's face when
I like Jason Garrett. Everybody knows I like Jason Garrett.
Sorry.
I think if Urban Meyer did not take that job, I think Jason Garrett was in the running for it. I've always said that.
Once they got the number 1 pick, it was.
Well, I really believe that Jason Garrett was on his way to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Giant fans were wishing.
I don't know why.
They're not fans of him.
Giants fans are not fans of him now. We loved him about the Cowboys because he screwed them up.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand why Giant fans don't like him. You look at the quarterback position, it's not his fault that Daniel Jones couldn't stay healthy this year. And Daniel Jones is his own problem. He's been his own problem since he's come into the league. The guy doesn't hold on to the ball. He drops the ball a lot. Even though this year he's fixed it up a little bit, and he has no weapons to throw to. Are you going to blame the offensive coordinator because he doesn't have the weapons to throw to? Their number 1 wide receiver is Slayton. And by the way, Giants fans trying to compare Slayton to Odell Beckham. What a joke. He's not even close. He really is. And Golden Tate in the beginning of the season thinking that the Giants should be playing him more. And then him and his wife had to apologize. Joe Judge made Golden Tate apologize to the fans and the press for what he did. It was embarrassing. The Giants overpaid Golden Tate. Now, is Golden Tate a superstar wide receiver? He was never a superstar wide receiver. He was a great number 2, especially
Comes from
in
the Seattle Seahawks offense, which
Yeah.
I have constantly said you can't trust their wide receivers.
Well, Golden Tate was a good wide receiver in Notre Dame. And he was a good wide receiver even before Russell Wilson became a superstar. He helped Russell Wilson develop. He did.
Or did Russell Wilson help him?
And by the way, Golden Tate was very good with the Lions. He was very good with the Lions.
Better with the Lions than the Seahawks.
Yeah, he was very good with the Lions. I think he was a Pro Bowl player at least 1 or 2 years over there with the Lions. He was good with Matthew Stafford. So I know a lot of people look at Golden Tate. He's not going to stick out like Odell Beckham would or Jarvis Landry would or any one of these guys, the Julio Joneses of the world, or any of them. But the Giants this offseason have to find a wide receiver. It is so important going into this offseason. A matter of fact, why not reach out to the Browns and maybe make a move for Odell Beckham? Maybe Odell Beckham going back to New York. Why not? He's older.
I think that ship has sailed.
He's older. He's more mature. I think him going over there to New York again, they should have never traded him. I've said this over and over again. I remember when Mikey C was so excited and happy, jumping up for joy, and then he looked at the trade, and he says, that's not a bad trade. By the way, Jabril Peppers had a very good season.
Yes, he did.
This was the best season I've seen Jabril Peppers play, even as a Brown and as a Giants. And Speedy, I'm going to let you speak because I know you're a Giant fan. And a lot of Giant fans want to hear it from a Giant fan's voice. What do you think the Giants need to do this offseason to make themselves a playoff team in a very weak division in the NFC East?
Two things I would stress definitely for the Giants, one of which is a big-name receiver, whether it comes in a trade, like a big trade like that for Odell. I don't know how realistic that would be, but if that does happen, nice. Otherwise, in free agency, I want them to get a number one receiver. The other thing is a linebacker, a coverage-type linebacker. They signed a nice tackling guy in Blake Martinez, who's a great run stopper, but he's an awful coverage guy. A nice guy to complement him as a coverage guy, like a Matt Milano or a Zach Cunningham would be a good option. And an edge rusher. Because, again, like I mentioned with the Jets, edge rushers are very limited in this draft. So free agency is where you're going to have to go and get them, whether it's somebody like Trey Hendrickson who's young, Carl Lawson, somebody like that. I think those would be the three areas I would look at.
Allen Robinson.
So, Speedy, who do you want with the Giants draft pick?
I think realistically, Micah Parsons from Penn State, I think, is definitely an option.
Everybody's talking about that.
But again, he's slipping on a lot of draft boards, which is why I think he could follow the Giants. The only team I could see them taking early, if they don't take Penei Sewell, is the Bengals, because they also could use a linebacker as well. But it's not a big need for a lot of the other teams in that top 10, so I can see him falling in that area. It's not really drafted as high as we've seen them, with the exception of Devin White. We haven't seen middle linebackers really drafted as high in recent drafts.
Corner?
So I think he could fall.
Would you want a corner?
No, I think they have enough corners right now. I think they're all right in that area.
They don't need a corner.
Because I just throw them out there.
They have a pretty good secondary.
No, because they said that Surtain could go there.
I wouldn't want Surtain that early.
He's going to the Cowboys at 10.
He should.
He
if
is.
they were smart.
He
They
is.
needed everything they could to get back
Dallas desperately needs corners. There's a team that could afford to reach on it a little.
The Beeve wanted the safety, and he was willing to trade C.D. Lamb after getting him at number 17 for who?
Xavier McKinney.
He's out of his damn mind. I don't know anybody in their wildest dreams would trade C.D. Lamb when he fell to you at 17 when he was a top 5 player on my board. He was a top 3 player on my board.
I think he was number 6 on my board last year, and I told the Beeve on the phone.
How did he fall to them at 17?
We were both hypothetically GMs of each other's teams. I'll give you McKinney for C.D. Lamb in a heartbeat.
We should, I think when we do the draft show this year, are we doing a board? We
Yes,
should.
we'll have a board.
We should.
We'll have a board.
I think we should each have our own.
A virtual board.
That'd be fun.
I would love to get the Beef in the studio and just to see what his board is all about.
Bringing my sister-in-law with me.
Well,
It'd be like a dog drooling.
he'll be panting. He won't even be paying attention to draft. He'll be paying attention to her. You want her on?
I think the three of us watch enough college football where we could have our own draft boards and do it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be engaging. I think it would be fun where we could see our prospects ranking-wise. Because I tell you, we could be very different with some of our...
With this year's draft, it's going to be very unique and very different.
Well, that's why it makes it fun. Because I know you like Fields more than Wilson.
I think Penei Sewell is going to fall. He might fall to 7 or 8.
Yeah, the Northwestern tackle looks to be ahead of him now.
Not only because of that, I just think that this draft is so interesting and so intriguing where some players can move up because there's no combine. You're doing pro days. You can see these guys one-on-one on the pro day, and they could play better than actually doing the combine, racing against other people. Because if you really look at it, every time you go up to that line, you're racing not only against yourself, you're racing the other people because you're trying to beat them. You're trying to beat their times. You don't have to look at that when you're on your pro day. All you got to worry about is what time you're running, how many bench presses you're going to put up.
I hate the combine so much. It's so
You really don't like it?
I hate it. It's so overrated.
I like watching
I'll
it
give you a
because
prime
I get to
example
know
of
some of the players a little bit better.
I would know some of it. I could give you one player that I wish we didn't know that had a thriving combine.
Who's that?
Vernon Goldstein. Mm-hmm. The combine guru.
So
Can't miss.
Hold
Best
on.
thing coming.
Do you remember Milliner? He was great
I'm
too.
trying to forget that name.
He's no longer in the
I was
NFL.
I remember watching that draft. I was when Oakland got McFadden, and then
He was a bust, too.
Atlanta got Ryan. I was so upset because I knew the Jets were going to take Golston, and I wanted the guy didn't turn out great. I wanted Leotis McKelvin, and
Well, thank God we didn't get him either.
Well, he was good the first few years.
He was better than Goldstein.
He was better than Goldstein.
Everybody,
yeah. Speedy. Everybody
better
was better
or
than
not.
Vernon
First
Goldstein.
of all, better or not, it doesn't really matter. Because being better than somebody, he wasn't a good pro player. He wasn't a good player. It doesn't matter if he was better. Anybody, I was better than Goldstein. I didn't even have to step on a football field. He had 4 tackles his whole career.
How about his first ever career sack that he got? He got called for face mask and they took it away. It was Vernon Goldstein's career.
Sounds like the Jets.
It sounds like Vernon Goldstein's career in a nutshell.
Yeah, unfortunately. But to look at the Giants and what the Giants... Allen Robinson sticks out to me.
They just got to
really
be able to
does.
pay him. I
They
don't know,
will.
what is their cap space?
They have
Do
cap
they have
space.
cap money?
They're above average. I think they were projected to be 14th or something in cap space.
They have the money.
And they could shed guys because they have a lot of big contracts from the 2017 draft. If they get rid of Ingram and Tomlinson from that draft, they'll have even more.
Speedy, are you owing on Daniel Jones?
No.
Okay.
He's never been.
Nope.
I still think Daniel Jones, if you put the right guys in front of him and the right players around him, he could play.
Nope.
I'm sorry. A lot of people, again, they don't give this kid a chance because you didn't put the right players around him. How do you expect this kid to succeed? He hasn't had Saquon Barkley for a whole season. He hasn't had a wide receiver, a number 1 wide receiver. By the way, he don't even have a number 2 wide receiver. He's just like Sam. How do you expect this kid to succeed? But I do remember his rookie season with the crap that he has had. He had 4 400-yard games, which he's only one of, 2 players to ever do that, or 3 players to ever do that? When you put players around him, he will succeed. You don't expect these guys to develop when you have nothing to throw to. Even Russell Wilson, you say whatever you want. He made all these guys better. These guys were athletic players that can go up and get the ball. Nobody on this Giant team, and I don't want to hear about Slayton. This guy is not a number 1. He's not a number 2. He's a number 3.
Speedy, because I want to ask him this because he is a Giant fan. Andrew Thomas, are we going to wipe the slate clean after a bad rookie year?
His second half, he was
No,
good.
his second half was good enough, and he still was a good run blocker. He just was a iffy pass
But he's
blocker.
probably, in that tackle draft, he was probably
He's
third.
the worst one, yeah. You can't really change that now, but in terms of progression as a player, he definitely progressed in the second half of the season. And I think all year, even when he was bad as a pass blocker, he was still good as a run blocker.
There was only 2 offensive tackles that really stood out in that draft. And that's Mekhi Beckham and Worth. The kid that the Browns brought in,
Jedrick Wills.
He's good.
He was good, yeah. But
he's not. He didn't stick out like Mekhi Beckham. He was dominant at some points. You saw the dominance of what he could have.
Wirfs was a borderline all-pro guy, one of the best tackles in the entire league.
That was actually the guy I wanted, and they took Becton instead.
I was
I'm
very
fine
happy with
I was
Mekhi
fine. No,
Becton.
I'm fine with Becton, but I was upset at the time because I thought worse with the Big Ten. Usually, Big Ten tackles always turn out to be really good players.
Yeah. He's so fast for his size, too.
Oh my God! Did you see him at the Super Bowl? He was all over the field. He's faster than faster than everybody.
It's unbelievable, these offensive tackles and what they can do now. It's really amazing.
Mekhi Becton could outrun me in a race, and he weighs 300-something pounds.
He can put Speedy on his shoulders, and he can outrun you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's not saying much.
It isn't. But anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to get into this sport. I am a big hockey fan. We're going to get into some hockey conversation. The New York Islanders and the New York Rangers, 2 teams that weren't playing well a couple of weeks ago. Well, their games are starting to change. When we come back, we will get into some Ranger and Islander conversation here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Silverberg. He's sitting and he's relaxing, trying to figure out what he's about to say, which is probably half the time. And as you guys know, on the board, as always,
More than
Mr.
that.
Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to the show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download the Worldwide Sports Radio app and listen to all our great shows during the week and read our fabulously great articles only on our website and on our app. All you have to do is go to iOS, which is WWSRN, or Android Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well, we've been talking a lot about hockey, the Rangers and the Islanders, and this week, this is probably the first time I've seen this, that the Rangers and the Islanders whipped the Boston Bruins behind. You look at What the Islanders did, and it was 2-2 going into the third period, and then they score 5 consecutive goals and then win 7-2. And then the Rangers last night completely demolishing them, putting it to the Boston Bruins
13-4
in the third period. It's unbelievable. The Boston Bruins had the worst week in the third period probably I've ever seen. In the 2 days against the 2 New York teams, they gave up 13 goals.
Outscored 13-4.
In practically the third period. It's unbelievable. This Boston Bruin team that's built to win championships, they were in the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years ago.
Half the Ranger team was out for this game. That's the crazy thing.
It's unbelievable.
I thought it was going to be the other way around.
I still worry about the Rangers defense. I don't trust the Rangers defense. They're not a very good defensive team, but this team could put points on the board.
They are getting better defensively, though. If
they
you look
are.
at the rankings, they're starting to find their fluidity with every. They have a lot of new moving pieces.
Yeah, and that's a lot of teams.
And it's a new system too. It's a whole new system, no training camp. So that kind of puts them behind, as you say, behind the 8 ball.
Well, the Rangers are always behind the 8 ball, especially with some of the coaches that they have behind the bench. But
yeah. Jacques Martin has done a nice job defensively. It's everybody else I worry about.
I think that losing Panarin, I want to know your opinion. I mean, this story came out for the last week and a half. The first story I heard was about him trying to get his family out of Russia because there's a good chance something could happen to his family. I don't know what the heck is going on
with the KGB
there.
And stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just read a couple of stories. Yeah. I don't understand any of it.
That's why he left.
That's fine, but why didn't he take his family with him if he left?
His family's in Russia.
That's fine. You have millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, but it's not as easy to leave.
Well, you have millions and millions of dollars. You own the world, as far as I'm concerned. You're making $10 million in New York.
But at the same time, it's also a dictatorship country. It's very different than it is here, where even in Cuba, it's tough to get out of Cuba. You think of it even in Russia. It's tough to get out of Russia. And a lot of these Russian players have their family still over there. My thoughts are on the whole thing is this. The story is bogus. It's behind a political situation. Because Panarin has been very outspoken. Him and the guy from Colorado, they have been very much against Vladimir Putin. They have been supporting, I forget what his name is, the other guy that just went to prison. Putin tried to poison him, and then they put him in jail. The story came out that many, many, many years ago, Panarin was in a bar and he abused an 18-year-old girl. His former KHL coach put this story out, he's a former NHL player, nutsy guy. I mean, he punched the team doctor on the bench during the game.
So that means he's lying?
Well, you can ask also his teammates and all the reporters that are there. His former teammates that were all at the bar with him that night said that it's absolutely bogus, that this is behind because he's a huge Putin guy, the coach that has said it, and it's a political piece to kind of Would you believe that?
Would you believe that if he wasn't a Ranger? Be honest. His teammates are saying the truth, are telling the truth?
Absolutely. All of his former teammates who were with him that night have all said that it's completely false. Reporters and even people inside the organization and the team and the KHL itself has come out and made a statement saying that it's not true. And the Rangers have come out and said it's not true. His teammates have come out and said it's not true. This coach...
So why is he going to be out for the season?
He's not out for the season. He's out for a couple of weeks because what he's trying to do
I don't know. A lot of people say he might not play for the rest of the season.
Nope, they said 2 weeks. That was the report that came out was 2 weeks. And the reason being is he is trying to worry about his family's safety because at the same time, when something like this happens, Russia is very, very different than here. Dude, the guy tried to poison somebody, Putin. He will have people come after Panarin's family to try and kill them. That is what Panarin is trying to get them out. This is like a couple years ago with Enes Kanter in Turkey. The same situation happened. He was against them. It's a dictatorship country in Turkey. And Kanter had to lead the team for a few weeks to get his family out of Turkey. And this is the same situation that has happened. There was a political piece on Kanter. They said he did something. It was completely false. It wound up not being true at all. And the same thing's happening with Panarin. They're trying to hurt his character. And it's an unfortunate situation that it's a very scary situation because Vladimir Putin has the power in that country to really destroy somebody's family. And that's what Panarin is trying to figure out right now. How do I get my family out of there for safety? How can I get them to be safe? And that's why you have to be wary and cautious when you say the things you do.
We'll send a spy. We'll send Speedy in there as a spy.
The problem is this, though. It's amazing that in this country you have the freedom of speech to say what you want, but in certain countries you don't. It puts light into the situation of where the world is. That one thing could be said. And this KHL coach, who, by the way, hasn't gotten even a job in years in the KHL doesn't even want him there anymore because of his character, wrote this because he's a huge Putin supporter. So
he wants to throw Panarin under the bus because he doesn't.
He doesn't like Putin.
He doesn't like Putin.
That's the hope.
Wonderful.
And I think first off, the guy should be ashamed because you're putting a man's family in jeopardy because of this. The man's allowed to say what he wants to say, and it's unfortunate he can't say what he wants to say because of a country like that that's run that way is unheard of, but it's the case in certain parts of the world. So it's sad, it sucks, and I hope for Panarin's family safety, they get what they need to get out of there.
Well,
I really do,
it's all
very
about
scary.
money. It's all about money, and they have it. So
it's just about will Putin let him even get involved, and that's what he's trying to figure out.
Could you even imagine when you look at this Eastern Conference? The Mass Mutual East. That's what they call it, Mass Mutual. I don't know where they get these names, by the way.
Big words.
It's terrible.
Big words.
They're terrible. But who would have thought that the Boston Bruins, who right now are still in first place, where they had an early lead. They were up like 7-8 points early in the season. Now are only a point ahead of the New York Islanders, and they're tied with the Washington Capitals right now. Who would have thought that this division would be as close as they are?
That's the NHL. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And there's going to be a lot of ups, there's going to be a lot of downs in the season. You have weeks. The Bruins have had this for years. They have these couple of weeks where they struggle. And then they pick it back up again. And then the playoffs roll around, and then you see how they go. The Bruins are going to be fine.
I don't know, man.
I
because
do.
of this division, you do know that Philadelphia is probably the most all-around talented team in this division.
But you see, so the thing of it is this. So the Philadelphia Phillies, the Flyers were playing really well, and now they're struggling. The Capitals were playing well, they're struggling. The Bruins were playing well, they're struggling. The Islanders were struggling, now they're playing well. The Rangers were struggling. Dude, the Devils were playing well at the beginning of the year, now they're struggling. It's all over the place. It's not even the best division in that Eastern Conference. In my opinion, to me, Tampa is still there. Go look at Carolina. Go look at the Hurricanes. They're playing out of their minds this year.
Well, Florida's playing out of their minds.
Joe Quenneville. They finally have gotten the system down for Quenneville, where it has taken them
They have a very good offensive team.
They got a great offensive team, and Bobrovsky is playing his old form like he did when he was in Columbus. And if Bobrovsky plays like he did in Columbus, that team is going to be so tough to beat.
I still think the Mass Mutual East is the hardest division. Because you have the Bruins, you have Washington, you have Philadelphia, you have Pittsburgh.
But are the best teams in that division.
Man, Boston is still going to be a dangerous
Is Florida and Carolina and Tampa not as good?
Florida's not better than any of these
But here's
teams.
the thing. Tampa's going to get in, and they're going to get Kucherov back. And they're playing the way they are. I still put Tampa as the best team.
I don't trust that. First of all, Tampa is not going to win another Stanley Cup. It just doesn't. They're not. They're not. And I don't trust that this team is going to.
Won back-to-back.
Pittsburgh did, but Pittsburgh had Sidney Crosby, okay? And I don't want to hear Kucherov because Kucherov isn't Sidney Crosby. Stamkos isn't either.
They have an all-around really good team.
That's
what
fine.
it comes down
That's
to.
fine. And how many great all-around great teams have gone to the playoffs and never did?
They still have Victor Hedman. They still have
That's
Vasilevsky.
That's great. I'm telling you, not winning a Stanley Cup this year. They're not winning a Stanley Cup.
I put them right there.
Well, I'm telling you, you're wrong, and I think.
Why are you telling me I'm wrong?
Because they're in an easy division.
Nothing's even happened.
They're in an easy division.
Okay, and they were in an easy division last year.
Right now, Nashville is a rebuilding team. Detroit's a rebuilding team.
Okay.
Dallas was good last year.
So you're saying Tampa has no shot?
Columbus, we all know what Columbus is.
So Tampa has no shot, is what you're saying. No shot.
I didn't say Tampa has no shot.
You just told me I'm wrong.
They're not going to win.
Dallas is good, though. They've just barely played any games because they had
exactly.
a big COVID issue.
You have to look at the games played. Speedy's right. You have to look at the games played.
I don't think Dallas is good. They're 6-5. What, you think that's good?
They got to the playoffs last year and they won
They're
the cup.
6-5. You think that's good? In 15 games, you've won 6.
They have talent.
There's a lot of teams with talent. What are you talking about? Your own Rangers have talent, and they got 17 points. Let's look over here. Colorado, who everybody thought was the best team in that division, they're in 4th place. They've got a lot of talent. Why do they have only 10 wins?
Because, again, start slow, and you pick it up and you peak at the right time. That's where it comes to fruition.
I gotcha.
Do you? Are you sure?
I gotcha. I'm kind of lost with what you're saying, but I gotcha.
Good, yes. Thank you, Speedy. Please end this already.
Well, it kind of annoys me because
annoy me.
You annoy me.
You annoy me.
Because when I'm looking at these teams and you keep telling me, whoa.
I don't even have a computer to look at it, so it's not even fair.
I don't have to look at it. I really don't.
Then why are you looking at it?
Because it's right in front of my face.
Well, don't use it. Look at me when you say it.
You want me to smack you around a couple of times?
See, I love it. It's always with the hitting threats.
Yeah.
It's always with the hitting
threats.
threats.
I don't see Tampa winning another Stanley Cup.
See, there you go.
this
He
year.
said it again.
I don't.
You're saying I don't see Tampa winning?
No.
So you're not giving them a shot. Say it. You're not giving them a shot.
If I say I don't see them, doesn't mean I'm not giving them a shot.
They'll win the cup again now that you...
I'll put money on it. You want to put money
Everything
on
is
it?
money with
Yeah, because I'm telling you, you're wrong. They're not going to win a Stanley Cup.
That's not even fair. Wait a
They'll
second.
make the playoffs. They'll make a run. They're not winning anything.
That's not even. So who's winning the Stanley Cup this year?
I don't know.
What was that? You did all that build-up, and he said, "I don't know."
I just told you Tampa's not winning the Stanley Cup. That's all I got to tell you.
Wait a second. So
I don't know who's
hold on
going
a
to
second.
win.
So I want to get this straight.
I think Carolina has the best chance in that division.
I agree. I love Carolina. I think
they're
the
the best
They have the most
chance.
depth in that. Now, so the bet would be then I have to get Tampa and you get the field?
Yes.
That is egregious.
You're so sure of it. By the way, the team that's really playing good hockey is Toronto. Who would have thought? A team over the last couple of years.
And that's without Matthews, by the way. He's hurt.
Without Matthews and their defense, I don't know what's going on. They're actually playing defense.
They're
Seriously.
building it all up for the regular season just
It's
to have
crazy.
the Tampa Bay Lightning 2019
Again,
done.
I keep saying it, you have to peak at the right time. Dallas did it last year.
I'm telling you, it's not going to be Tampa Bay this year.
I still love Colorado, too.
Colorado's going to be good.
I think Colorado all around is the best team in hockey. I think them in Vegas.
That's fair.
Austin
with
Matthews in 20 games, 18 goals and 13 assists. Unbelievable. 2 points a game.
Did you see the thing
It's
on
crazy.
they mic'd up Petrangelo the other night with Lake Tahoe, and there was a breakaway, and they had him mic'd up, and he goes, "Uh-oh." There was a breakaway, and the guy scored, and he goes, "Oh, I knew that was going to happen."
I'll tell you this, Tavares, who's getting way overpaid, he's not having it. 21 games, 6 goals, 11 assists. He's got a lot of assists. He's playing on one of the best lines in hockey.
I know he's the face, but it's not his team. It's Matthews' team.
Matthews is going to be gone. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to go back. He wants to go to Phoenix. And I think he wants to go closer to his family.
I know he does, but I don't know. You know, there's a different team. You could take a different route. Oh,
It'll be very interesting.
You could do the Taylor Hall thing.
If I were the Islanders, I would do anything possible way to get somebody like an Austin Matthews. Could you imagine him and Barzell on one line? Could you imagine
Matthews
that?
is center, though, isn't he?
So what? You could put him on a wing. You could put Barzell on the wing.
I don't know if you want to move those pieces around.
Or you can actually put Matthews on your front line and you put Barzell on your second.
And then you could put Pajot on your behind.
The B line. Yes. The B line for the behind line.
Oh, my God.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Speedy, what do we got?
Debate Wars.
Here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Little J, Joshua Silverberg, and obviously you all know the producer of the great Weekend Crunch is Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports E-Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download the Worldwide Sports Radio app by going to WWSRN, which is Apple for that, and Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Go check out our website. We have an unbelievable website. Go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. It's unbelievable. If you guys love sports and you love to check out a great website, go and check out the Worldwide Sports Radio Network website. Speedy, are you ready for this segment? I am, as I always win these segments.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Joshua Silverberg is just trailing behind. Are you ready, Speedy?
Just like Errol is in the football stadium.
Wow. Oh, is that what you're going to bring up, the picks? Are you kidding me? Because I'm going to whip your you-know-what this year in baseball. That I can guarantee you. Because I'm not going to play around with you. I'm going to tell you
I don't
straight
want you
out.
playing with me at
Straight.
all,
Well, I definitely don't want to play with you. That's for sure. Anyways,
That's
we
what makes you
call
sleep at night. That's fine.
this segment, Speedy.
Debate Wars.
It sounds so good live when I hear him do it.
All right, we start with a single season one for baseball for this one. So a better pitching season. 2014 Clayton Kershaw when he won the MVP, or 2018 Cy Young Jacob deGrom?
That's tough. I mean, Kershaw was ridiculous that season, but was that DeGrom? That's 2018.
Go ahead. Go
with
with
Hold
DeGrom.
on. Was that the one that had a 1.65
Homer.
ERA?
1.77.
I'll still give it to Kershaw because Kershaw did win the MVP. I never think pitchers should win the MVP, but Kershaw was ridiculously clutch that year until the playoffs happened, of course.
For 3 years straight, from there for 3 years in a row.
I'll give it to Clayton Kershaw.
Oh, it's Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw has been the most dominant pitcher we've ever seen in our era. Who could you compare to him? Even Kurt Schilling, Randy Johnson. For a 9-year span, nobody was as good as this guy. This guy has, to me, one of the top left-handed pitchers I have ever seen. Clayton Kershaw.
All right. Better winger, Brendan Shanahan or Jerome Iginla?
That's a good one.
That's a great one. I'll give it to Shanahan. To me, the thing about Shanahan was he was so clutch in the playoffs, too. And even when he went to the Rangers, he was pretty good as well. Which, a lot of veterans don't get. That was at the end, which he was still good. Whereas Iginla was still trying to find his footing in like Boston and all those places. So I'll go Shanahan.
Oh, it's definitely Brendan Shanahan. I had the opportunity to meet him at the draft with the Toronto
As I dropped
Maple
my
Leafs. But Brendan Shanahan, when he went to the Yzerman Detroit Red Wings, he was fantastic.
Yzerman, Fedorov, Lindstrom,
they were fantastic. And not only that, Brendan Shanahan was a mean person on the ice. Mean. He fought big, strong, fast for a guy his size. Fantastic player. As good as Jerome Iginla was in the NHL with the Calgary Flames, he was not Brendan Shanahan.
Better recently retired cornerback, D'Angelo Hall or Terrence Newman?
That's another good one.
No, it's not. It's not even a Hall.
Why? What are you going to say?
They both stink.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I would go with Hall.
They're both overrated.
I'll go with Hall.
I think D'Angelo. I'm going to go with Newman because Hall's a punk.
Newman stinks with the Cowboys too.
Listen, I think we both can agree they both suck.
I would take Hall.
I'll take Newman because I can't stand D'Angelo.
With the Atlanta Falcons, I like Hall.
I can't stand him. He was such a he's so annoying, D'Angelo.
That's the best part. Trash talking.
But he wasn't even that good, and he talked trash.
Yeah, he was all right.
Come on.
He was all right. I mean, he had a couple of good seasons with the Washington football team.
Better NBA coach, Larry Brown or Doc Rivers?
God.
I've got mine.
I know.
We know.
We know who you're going to say. It ain't going to be Doc Rivers.
It's not.
Oh, man. I'll go Larry Brown. For me.
You're a smart guy.
I'll tell you this. That Detroit Pistons team, you could make the case on paper that Laker team was one of the greatest teams ever assembled with Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. And his Detroit Pistons team whooped that Laker team in the finals with no superstars on that team yet. Chauncey Billups, none of those, Rip Hamilton, none of them were bona fide stars yet. So I'll go with Larry Brown on that.
How about the 76ers that he coached? The Allen Iverson 76ers.
They went to the finals.
What really stuck out to me is not the championships that he won. It was what he did with that 76ers team, rebuilding that team with just Allen Iverson. Really nothing. Eric Snow, the bench players that they had, he developed these guys to play his defense and his offense. It was Larry Brown. He did it everywhere he went except with the New York Knicks. He didn't do it.
Him at the 1 year.
He did it in college, too. He was very successful in college,
SMU.
too. Yeah, so it was Larry Brown.
Then they got caught for illegal recruiting.
Yes.
So,
Doc Rivers is a horrendous coach.
SMU always seems to get in trouble with that.
He's a horrendous coach.
I think I picked that team 1 year to go to the Final Four, one of his 8 seats or something.
That team. SMU has bad luck with football and basketball recruiting wise.
Alrighty. Better fielder at his position, Greg Maddux or Keith Hernandez?
Oh, stop. Are you kidding me? It's Keith Hernandez. It's not even close. I'm not even saying it because I'm a method. You can make the case Keith Hernandez was the greatest defensive first baseman in baseball history. He's a bona fide close Hall of Famer. He should be in the Hall of Fame. To me, it's not even close. I understand Greg Maddux won how many Gold Gloves in a row as a pitcher? A pitcher. How much does a pitcher really field? Dude, Keith Hernandez was a Gold Glove first baseman. If you say Greg Maddux, you're a fool.
Greg Maddux won
I
18
know.
Gold Gloves.
He was a pitcher.
Greg Maddux.
Dude, you're an idiot.
18 Gold Gloves. How could you argue that?
Because Keith Hernandez played a
How many years did he play? He played 19 years, and he won 18 Gold Gloves. He was the best defensive pitcher in baseball
Keith Hernandez
history.
played arguably one of the toughest positions in baseball
Greg Maddux.
and was a prime defensive.
He played the hardest position in baseball, and that's pitching. I'm going
he throws
with
the
Greg
ball.
Maddux.
He doesn't have to
Gregory.
catch the ball. You're an idiot.
I'm going with Greg. It's Greg. Absolutely. 18 Gold Gloves as a pitcher.
Congratulations.
The hardest position in baseball.
He caught 2-1 hoppers through the bound. Good for him. While Keith Hernandez scooped up every ball at first
18
base.
18 Gold Gloves,
You're
baby.
A fool for even saying
18.
That. They kick you off the air.
Good. 18.
Good. Congratulations. Hoppers off the mound. Good for him.
Yep. By the way, 11 Gold Gloves to 18. Who do you want?
The guy that plays the premier provision.
A pitcher against
a first
baseman. I'm taking
the first baseman
because I think Greg Maddux could have played any position in the infield and still been a good player.
You're ridiculous.
Greg Maddux.
Keith Hernandez.
All right.
Greg Maddux.
Keith Hernandez.
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 Go ahead, Speedy.
Better wide receiver, Isaac Bruce or
Maddux.
Andre Reed? Keith Hernandez is the better wide receiver? Okay.
Yes.
Greg Maddux.
Keith Hernandez. I'll go with Isaac Bruce. Andre Reed was a really good player, but dude, Isaac Bruce was a dominant player on what, as they call, the greatest show on turf. He really did help out that Rams offense dramatically, and he helped Torrey Holt very much become the player that he was. So I'll go Isaac Bruce.
I'm going to go with Greg Maddux.
I'm going to go with Keith Hernandez. So screw you.
I'm going to go with Andre Reed. Andre Reed was a first ballot Hall of Famer for Buffalo. Great wide receiver. Really was. Sensational. I think people forget how good he was. You probably never even got a chance to see him.
I didn't.
So,
But I
what
know
are you
the
laughing
numbers.
at over there, Speedy? What are you giggling at?
I was waiting for Josh to rebuttal with something.
Keith Hernandez. I'm getting it prepared for him. Times I'll say it like a moron.
Greg Maddux.
I already said it twice.
I'm
so
going
you're
with
wrong.
Andre Reed. He's the better all-around wide receiver. Isaac Bruce was great on the greatest show on turf.
He helped out Torrey Holt get open a lot.
Torrey Holt was the best wide receiver on the team. Andre Reed was the best wide receiver on that team. And he, to me, first ballot. Matter of fact, I would put Andre Reed as my top 10 wide receiver of
I
all
would put
time.
Keith Hernandez as the best defensive player of all time.
Well, that just shows you how wrong you are.
Well, that
Because
just shows
18
you how
gold
wrong-
gloves.
11 gold gloves
Greg
for a premier
All right,
position.
Speedy, go. I don't want to hear him.
All right,
I'm going to mute him.
One more. Speaking of defense, better tri-state hockey defenseman in his time.
Oh, boy.
Brian Leach or Scott Stevens?
Oh, baby. Give me Brian Leach. Of
course you
kidding
will.
Me?
Of
Wow.
course.
Dude, Brian Leach is one of the greatest defensemen of all
I
time.
played with him on the ice.
Good for you. Brian Leach is one of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game of hockey.
And Stevens isn't?
No, he is, but he's not as good as Brian Leach.
He was a better all-around defensive player
He
than
was
Brian Leach.
not. Are you
Oh,
kidding me?
He was a better
Stop
all-around
it.
defensive
Give me
player.
Brian Leach.
Brian-
And give me Keith Hernandez, too, while you're in it.
I could give you whatever you want, especially
I don't want
a
anything
smack in the
from
face.
you.
I'm going with Scott Stevens.
Of course you are.
He's the better all-around defensive
Of course you
player.
think.
Brian Leach was more of an offensive defensive player. He played defense. I'm not saying that he wasn't,
No,
but
he played very good defense.
he wasn't Scott Stevens defensively.
better than Scott.
No, he wasn't. How many championships
How
did
many
Brian Leach
Brians
win?
what?
How many championships did Brian
He
Leach
won a
win?
huge Stanley Cup.
One. How
what?
many did Scott Stevens win?
Well, when you have Marty Brodeur, it
How
helps.
many did he win?
It helps with Marty
How
Brodeur.
many did he
What,
win?
3?
Who was the captain of the team?
Scott Niedermeyer.
No. Scott Stevens, he was the better defenseman.
Brian
All
Leach.
around. Brian Leach was the better offensive defenseman. Scott Stevens was the better defensive defenseman. And you asked us who was the better defenseman. Scott Stevens.
All right, now the real question. Best defensive player of the four. Keith Hernandez.
Greg
Maddux,
Keith Hernandez.
Brian Leach and Scott Stevens. Rank all four of them.
I'm going with Greg Maddux
It's
on that
Keith
one.
Hernandez.
18 gold gloves,
It's
baby.
Keith Hernandez playing a premier position, baby.
Oh.
And had the best stash in the
Premier?
sport.
Well, hold on one second. Premier position? You're talking about the pitcher. Jeez.
The pitcher doesn't have to field
Are
anything.
you kidding me?
I'm not kidding
Are
you.
you lost?
I'm not lost.
He's lost.
No, you're lost.
18
Why
gold
don't you
gloves.
go yuck it up some more and laugh
Tell
when you
me
do
a
your
pitcher that
intros.
had 18 gold gloves.
I don't have to because they doesn't have to take much to field at that position.
How many pitchers have won 18 gold
Probably
gloves?
only him.
Okay. That's what
Okay.
I said. I
And
rest
I'm
my
sure-
case.
How many first basemen have won 11 gold gloves?
A lot.
Really? Who?
Don Mattingly. He won, I think, 10? He won
Good,
10?
it's not 11. Sorry.
Oh, so it wasn't 11.
Sorry. You lose. You're the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm the weakest link. You lost to Greg Maddux, 18.
You lost.
Anyways.
This segment's
I
over.
win again,
You
like
don't win a
always.
thing.
How could he say that a guy that wins 11 gold gloves to a guy that won 18?
Because
it wasn't
it
like
was a premier
it wasn't like
position.
12 to like
Because their
11.
positions
It was
are
18.
different.
7 more.
And Greg Maddux
gold
also
gloves.
played more
See what
years.
I mean? This is a Met lover right here.
No, it's not. He's better feeling on the Cardinals.
I am going to say this again. 18 gold gloves.
I don't
Anyways,
care what you say.
when we come back, Speedy, what do we got?
Crunch time.
Here on the Weekend Crunch. Oh, I like this. Oh. I'm a winner. You're a loser. That's right.
Why are you calling the fans losers? That's terrible
Greg
to say.
Maddux. Greg Maddux.
That's mean to call the fans
18,
losers.
baby. As you guys know, this is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, and my co-host, the littlest of little J's, Joshua Silverberg, and the producer. Put your hands together. The crowd's growling and crawling and whatever they're doing.
Why are they crawling?
Because they're running. They're running. Speedy Petey.
Why are they growling and crawling?
Maybe it was your dog.
I don't know. They're growling and crawling. Never heard that one before.
Well, that's something for you to know
You might
and for
wanna-
me to find out.
You might want to trademark that one because you might be the only one who uses that.
As you guys know, this is the Weekend Crunch, and this show is only on 103.9 on the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Please, guys, if you haven't heard, download the app. Go check out our website, www.worldwidesportsradio.com, and go to iOS, the Apple Store, WWSRN, Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. All our great shows throughout the week, our articles, everything that we do for the network throughout the week is on the website and the app. So check it out. So we had a very interesting debate wars, and now I'm sure we'll have even a better crunch time. Speedy?
It's time for Crunch Time.
Read the time. Got to see the pitch.
Yes, it shall be very interesting. We're going to start this crunch time in college basketball. So 3 of the top 5 teams have road games tomorrow. Buy or sell, 2 out of the 3 of those teams will lose on the road. It is number 2 Baylor is at Kansas, number 3 Michigan, Josh's national championship pick is at Indiana, and Josh's team, Wisconsin, is hosting number 5 Illinois.
That's the team.
That's definitely the team. It's going to be Wisconsin. They will. I think
I want it to be Wisconsin.
I think I'm at the point where I'm just ready for March Madness with them, but I think it's going to be Wisconsin. Look, Michigan, weeks ago I said they were going to win the national championship. They're playing out of their minds this year.
I think they're going to be surprised. I do not.
I do. I think they're so talented. So Wisconsin will be the team.
They got 2 really good guards. I don't like their front. We'll have to see what they do in the March Madness because it all changes in March Madness. The whole game changes. The speed of the game and everything. I'm going to say Wisconsin. I don't think they're going to beat Illinois. I really don't. And Illinois is actually a really, really good team. And I could go far. They're probably, depending on where they land in the bracket, they could go all the way to the Sweet 16. So I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I'm going to buy Wisconsin.
All right. Buy or sell, Russell Wilson will be traded before Desean Watson.
I'll buy it. I think he has a better chance to get traded because Houston's waiting for that right package where I think Seattle will just take a package that's given to them. It will be a high package. They'll take the high package. So, for me, I'm going to buy that one.
I'm going to sell it. I still think Desean Watson is the guy that wants out. I don't know if it's quite true that Russell Wilson wants out. I mean, the stories are coming out from the organization. I still think he's going to stay there. I think they'll build the offensive line. I think they'll give him what he wants when free agency opens up, and they'll make him happy. So I'm going to go with Desean Watson, so I'm going to sell on Russell Wilson.
Buy or sell, Chris Bryant will become a New York Met.
Go ahead. Because I
don't know. It depends on how J.D. Davis does, and it depends at the trade. It depends at the trade deadline.
Sell.
So I'll sell it for now because I don't know what the future holds. So I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to sell it. I don't know if the Mets are going to go after Chris Bryant. They're going to have to give up a significant amount for him because the Cubs aren't just going to give him away if they're making a run throughout the playoffs. And I don't know if the Mets are going to be willing to do that. Sandy Alderson is not a guy that's just going to throw away prospects. He's not that type of person. He likes to keep on to it. He likes to hold on to prospects. So I'm going to sell that. I don't think that's happening.
All right, buy or sell. Jack Eichel being surprisingly scratched, I think it was against the Devils, means that he will be traded within the next 2 weeks.
I'm going to sell that. I think if he's going to be traded, it'll be in the offseason at the draft. I think that's where it will probably happen. So I'm going to sell that for now. But the fact that he's 23 years old, he's on his 4th coach already is insane. It's ridiculous.
I think a lot of teams will be interested in Jack. It's not just the Rangers. I know that's what you want to say. But I
would say that the Rangers are because they would have the most to offer in a package.
I think there are other teams out there that'll be willing to give a team like the Buffalo Sabres a package that they'll be happy with. So.
Of course, but again, the thing is the Buffalo GM has come out and have said there's certain players he specifically likes.
That's fine. He can say whatever he wants. So he says it, so he's going to the Rangers? Come on, man. This is what really upsets me about the Ranger fans. They say something, and it's not quite true. And because somebody says something from an organization, Ranger fans say, you know what? The only team he could go to is that team, the Rangers.
It's not about that.
And then he goes somewhere else, and the Ranger fans go, well, Rangers didn't want to offer this, so that's why he went there.
No, that's not why.
Whatever.
It's the reason being is because they would have possibly a lot of
I'm going to sell that, by the way, Speedy. I'm going to sell that. He's not going anywhere.
He'll be trading you off season.
if he goes somewhere, it won't be the Rangers. That's for sure.
All right, buy or sell. The Lakers will trade for a big-time big man now that they lost Anthony Davis for possibly an extended period of time.
I'll buy it because I think they'll be interested in Andre Drummond. It's just curious what they would have to give up.
A lot.
I don't know if they have enough to give up. Davis is going to come back, too.
He is.
So that's why I'll sell it.
I'm going to sell it. Andre Drummond, I think the best fit, the Celtics. If it was going to happen, I would have liked to see Danny Ainge do it now and not let it drag on, because that is the missing piece that could get the Celtics to the NBA championship. They've been craving a big man that can do everything that they lack. This guy leads the league in rebounds. This guy's a good offensive player, and he can actually block shots. He averages almost 2 block shots a game. So I'm going to sell that. I don't think he's going to the Lakers. I think the Celtics need to get on the phone with the Cavaliers and do whatever they can to get him.
Ohio State has hit a slump recently. Buy or sell, it will continue with a loss against Iowa on Sunday. They're at home.
I'll sell that. I think they'll beat Iowa. I don't trust Ohio State. They're so up and down this year. To me, they're kind of even a first or second round exit in the tournament. I think they're talented, but they're so up and down, so I'll sell it.
I think they're a team that they get into a good bracket. I think they can go all the way. I know right now it doesn't look like that, but we've seen this. They're very talented. They can go all the way. They have a very good guard play. They're a very good offensive team. They really are. The defense is what you worry about. So I'm going to buy that they're going to win. They'll beat Iowa.
Claude Julien will get a head coaching job within the next month.
I'll sell that. I think he'll get it next year. I think teams are going to go after him because he still has the resume to prove that he's won a Stanley Cup. He helped Montreal a lot last year. The problem with Julien is he doesn't know how to really develop young players. That's been the killer. He has a short leash for certain young players. So I'll sell it. I think he'll get a job next year, though.
It depends on who becomes available, what team becomes available. I think there'll be a lot of teams lining up for Claude Julien. But there's a guy leaving the Blue Jackets at the end of the year, and I think and everybody knows who I'm talking about, he's going to be a big name out there for a lot of teams, so it's including the Rangers, because I don't think Quinn is going to be there after this year. They're not making the playoffs, the Rangers. So I am going to sell until the end of the year, but he will get a job at the end of the year.
All right, buy or sell. The Knicks will make a contender-like trade this trade deadline.
I'll buy it. I'm just wary that they're going to give up too much, meaning Bradley Beal. I could see them going after Victor Oladipo, and they're trying to sign him to a max extension when they trade for him. They just have to be worried about the trade. You don't want to trade off the future and the farm for one player. I know it's ideal, but they've done it the right way, and there's no reason why they should go off the tracks now.
I don't think the Knicks are going to make a significant move like Bradley Beal. Victor Oladipo, you're not going to have to give up a lot. You give up a couple of second-round draft picks and maybe a player like a Kevin Knox, you can get Victor Oladipo. I don't think Houston's going to hold on to him. I think they're just trying to stock up with picks. So I am going to buy. It could be Victor Oladipo. It's not going to be Bradley Beal or anybody big like that. So, and Victor Oladipo, he's big, but he's not Bradley Beal. So I'll sell that.
J.J. Watt is actually smokescreening us, and he will go to somebody else other than the Titans, Bills, or Packers.
I've heard the Browns is a rumor that he wants to be paired with Myles Garrett, which would be really interesting. I think Green Bay is the perfect fit for him, so I'm going to sell that. I think Green Bay would be an ideal fit. Pittsburgh is another team. The problem with Pittsburgh is they have no salary cap, so that's why they really can't get him. There's already offers out there for $15-16 million for him. Pittsburgh no way can match that. So that's why he will not go to Pittsburgh.
So overrated. I never liked J.J. Watt. I think if you look at his numbers against really bad teams, they're astronomical. They're unbelievable. And then you look at teams that are over 500 every single year, they're not good, especially good offensive lines. So I'm going to buy that he is going to go to one of those three teams. I'm going to sell that he isn't going to anybody that is not on that list. I think it's more likely Green Bay, like Josh says. I think that's where he's going.
It's a perfect fit for him.
It's a perfect fit for Green Bay. That's their biggest need.
Well, yeah, they need Zadarius Smith needs help.
Not only that, they need interior guys. They'll play interior on that defense, most likely.
Kenny Clark will love it.
Mm-hmm. All right, one more. We will see another 14-year contract like Fernando Tatis's in the MLB in the next 5 years.
No way. And I thought it was egregious that San Diego did that. That was terrible. I cannot believe they actually did that. Whoever allowed that to happen is terrible for letting that go down. So I'll sell it. It was a terrible contract. We talk about a guy for 14 years. Are you kidding me? Nobody's worth 14 years.
You probably think Lindor is.
I do not think Lindor is.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I would say 7 or 8, not 14.
I don't think he's worth 14 years. I don't know what he is. We don't know what he is. We saw him in 2 years. I think his first year was unbelievable. COVID year, he was fantastic, but he couldn't stay on the field, even in a short year. So that's a huge problem. And if he can't stay healthy as a shortstop, how do you expect it? Remember Nomar Garcia-Pera? Guy couldn't stay healthy. He could have been one of the greatest shortstops of all time. He was a better defensive player in my eyes than Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter. The guy couldn't stay on the field. So we never knew what he could be, from the Boston Red Sox to the LA Dodgers. The only thing I remember is him marrying a professional soccer player that was a better player on the field for her than he was on the field as a baseball player. So I'm going to sell it. I don't think we'll ever see it again. Those kind of contracts are done. I think that was the last time we see that. So there you go. That's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. It was a crazy show. It really was. A lot of arguing today. I hope everybody enjoyed it because obviously everybody knows the hard work and dedication that we put into these shows for all you fans to tune in and hear the greatness of me, of course. I'm just kidding. And the old, small little Jay sitting over there. But Happy's in the studio. And again, from debate wars to crunch time, I always win. Anyways, that's it for our show.
God, it says I don't know.
Greg Maddux, by the way.
Overrated.
As you guys know, we are live every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time. And by the way, after the Islander games, if the Islander games are live on Saturdays at 7 p.m., we're right after the Islander games, after the press conferences. So tune in. If you don't hear us at 7 p.m., it's obviously the Islander game. Wait until the end of the game, and we will be on. And we are going to absolutely entertain you on this show and throughout the 103.9 network. So if you haven't listened to this show or you are a fan of this show, keep listening to it because there's a lot of craziness and a lot of great information we can give to you in the sports world. That's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back next week. So definitely tune in and follow all our shows on WWSRN, which is the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com and check out all our shows, our articles, and go to our app on WWSRN on iOS and Android Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Speedy, are you ready for next week?
Yeah, maybe I'll have to have the Ultra Keith Hernandez comparisons for the entire debate hour.
No, thank you. No more of that.
All the best defensive players in every sport versus Keith Hernandez.
No, we're done.
Well, maybe Keith Hernandez would actually come in first in some of them, but just not against Greg Maddux. Anyways, we will be back next week. Until then, this is Errol Marks, Joshua Silverberg, and Speedy Petey saying good night. And we'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.